Welcome to Adventures in Producing. Thanks for joining us. My name is Wendy Mitchell. I'm a film journalist and a film festival consultant, and I admire the work of independent producers. So that's why I started this series to talk to some of the great ones. Today's guest is Paula Vaccaro. She is an award-winning British-Italian producer and screenwriter, also very much an industry expert. She was born in Buenos Aires and lived in the UK now for about 20 years. In 2009, she established Pinball London, which works in production, but also in audience development and digital work and art installations. Her credits as a producer or executive producer include Ginger Rosa by Sally Potter, the omnibus project Words with Gods, On the Milky Road by Emir Kusturica, Uncle Howard by Aaron Brookner, and Listen by Ana Rocha de Souza, which was an award winner at Venice 2020. Paula's had a really fascinating life and career. She's definitely worked across the globe. As I mentioned, she was born in Argentina and was a very successful journalist there before she slightly changed paths. And she came to the UK to study at the Royal Holloway and get her master's in media there. From there, she went to work in Spain, including creating a documentary label at a magazine in Madrid, and also working at Morena Films, including on their Immortals series for HBO, and some important collaborations with Alvaro Longoria. Some of the films she did early in her career include documentaries such as Maradona by Kusturica. So I'm going to skip some of those years and really get into it about why, Paula, you wanted to start Pinball and what you wanted the company to do.
So Pinball is the product of when I finished Maradona by Kusturica in 2008, and we went to Cannes with it. I had, I sort of lost my possibility to have a producer credit in that film, and I actually produced that film on, in and out with another producer, and I was on my own in the launch of the film, and everything. And so I realized how where I had lost my power and how important it was to have a company, which wasn't easy because, of course, it's not that you just go and put the company on company's house and there you have a company. So you had to have projects and another thing. So I decided I wanted to make a company after Cannes in 2008, but it took me another year to find projects. And when I felt I had a few projects that were worth creating a company to have a banner, I started, let's say, Pinball with my own savings, and with enough money to sort of sustain a company for maybe a year or so. So Pinball at the very beginning was the idea of transferring the knowledge I had gathered with big directors to continue working with those directors, but also to discover and, propel the new auteur type directors that were to come. So I thought I have enough knowledge by now of some of the things and how it works. And I could also ask those directors to do some knowledge transfer to newer generations. So Pinball came with that kind of idea originally. It came about with that kind of idea.
And I love that the company doesn't just produce, right? You also work with audience development. I mean, is that because of the ethos that you wanted to do, or is that also help financial stability to work in other areas?
The audience development actually came from the documentary world, I would say. When we were doing, I went and did this impact producing gathering with BritDoc at the time. Doc Society was called BritDoc at the time, 2012. So the company was like 2 or 3 years on, and that kind of helped me understand more about the engagement we needed to get with audiences. And I guess I put journalism and producing together. And the idea that producers, when we are really involved on the ground, we do know who the audiences are. And engaging those audiences is so important from the get-go. And also, I guess, also from the frustration that many times films did not reach the audiences that needed to reach. I think Maradona was a big, the Maradona by Kusturica film was a big disappointment when it came to how it was distributed and how it was seen or not seen. And I remember myself fighting with the distributors that I knew there was an audience for that film and that it needed to be found. So yeah, it started like that. Then it developed into more like a consultancy, and the idea to create like a thinking ground for films and for independent filmmakers not to lose sight of who their audiences are. So it's more that as opposed to something that a company like, I don't know, Ipsos Mori's could do, right? It's more a filmmaker coming to us either earlier in the film or midway, or because they have a grant and saying, I want to deep dive into who my audiences are. And sometimes we do it on our own and we deliver something. And sometimes it's more like, okay, let's think together and how you can do it. And off you go, and they do it themselves.
Yeah, I should mention you, I know you a lot also, not just for producing, but so many film festivals, film conferences. I think you organize a lot of panels, you moderate a lot of panels and industry sessions that are really great, because you have your finger on the pulse as a producer and with the industry side. I mean, do you find it hard to juggle some of that, the industry work with the hands-on producing, or does it sort of even out?
We are not a big factory, right? So I never have 5 films producing at the same time. And, I do have a lot of development going on and a lot of people developing with us, and I do a lot of co-productions. In fact, all of our films are co-productions. So I would say I'm as good as my co-producers when it comes to producing, and my co-producers are really great. So I must be doing something right, even just by getting those co-producers. And the rest of the time, I try to write, and I try to, get these ideas about the audience and all this, but also I'm all the time joining dots. Like, that's who I am. If I talk to you and you say to me, oh, I'm in Surrey, I'll be like, oh, I think I have a friend next to you. Let me just put you in touch. Like, that's always been my thing. And I think that comes from the migrant, like I landed with nobody in here. And so I didn't go to school with people. I didn't know them from an FTS. I didn't know them from working at the BBC. So I had to create that network and I really work it like from the heart. And so it's more an expression of that, I think. And I'm a person who I generally cannot really do a lot of things when I'm uncomfortable. Like when I don't like the people, I'm not very good at that. But some people are great. Some people are more diplomatic, but I need to really like the people. I really do need that. So I found out that the best way to do that is to actually, put start working that and share spaces and exchange ideas and look at the person and really deep dive into conversations. And so those panels and those gatherings and those groups and those networks, and I'm a big fan of doing that, also helped me find my next co-conspirator, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, as somebody, I moderate a lot and I love it when it's people you are interested to talk to. And I think, I would encourage people when they see your name as moderator to listen, because you can tell you really are getting the best knowledge out of people. Yeah, just really a wonderful spirit with all the industry panels you do. So it's a cool part of your job. Let's talk a little bit more about some of the films and filmmakers. First of all, Aaron Brookner is a very important collaborator with you. Do you want to talk about collaboration there?
Absolutely. I have a lot of collaboration there. Yes. So when I was putting Pinball together, which came from Maradona release in Cannes 2008, I remember the day after, I think there was like the day after is like, you don't know if you won something or you lost something. Cannes is such a high, yeah, it's just crazy. It's such a high, I don't know, the energy, the adrenaline, and the plunge is crazy, right? I'm not a big drinker. So I never go really high on the drink. So it's all really the natural high, but the natural high can be, you cannot unbalance it.
Yeah, no, it's very true, that sort of adrenaline you get in Cannes. And I think that's one reason people get so like a cold or something the week after. You sort of on a high, and then your body sort of shuts down when you get home.
Yeah, exactly. So, but some people, if you're a good drinker and you're able to keep it going, I think you manage it better. But if you're not, I think you go like up and down. This is my interpretation. Maybe I'm wrong. But so I kind of really decided I was going to do this company. But of course, I had been looking for projects for many, many months, and came January 2009, and I was working with Kusturica in his film festival in the mountains in Kustendorf. So I was helping, with film selection and stuff like that. And that year, and I don't know if you ever been there, but
it's on my list.
Yeah, I don't know how it is. I haven't been there for years now, but at the very beginning, which, many times is the best years, at least I think so. These years where, Thierry Frémaux was coming to show the Lumière films before he was showing them in Lyon, because Lyon didn't exist, or before he did his own film about Lumière, or Johnny Depp came before all the scandals and the terrible things. And, so it was just this spirit of being very close to great filmmakers. And so Jim Jarmusch came, and I remember we were outside, super cold, it's January, is the mountains. And I think smoking a cigarette or something like that. Jim was showing me pictures of his daughters or something. And I said, oh, what are you doing next? I said, oh, I'm trying to put together a company. And his producer was also there, Carter Logan. I said, oh, and I'm going to New York to meet some filmmakers. Oh, you've got a lot of projects. No, I'm still looking for it. And so both Carter and Jim said, oh, there is this Carter said, oh, there is this filmmaker, this friend of mine. He worked with Jim. He's looking for a producer. He's been, doing a documentary for many years about Bad Schulberg. And, he's been filming for many years. We just filmed with Maradona for so many years. Maybe there is some knowledge there. He's looking for a producer. And so, of course, it was like Jim and his producer recommending. So I said, okay, great. I'll meet this filmmaker. Why not? So he sent me a script, and I had been reading loads of scripts, like probably, 80 scripts. And sometimes you read 10 pages, sometimes you read them all. And I think I had one script, maybe two, that I sort of liked, but not that much. There was nothing but then Aaron sent me the script, and I really liked it. And I thought, wow, this guy really, his writing is great. And but the script was about Bud Schulberg's early life. And his dad had been one of the studio founders, and I thought, this is great, but this is like a $25 million or $35 million film. This is a filmmaker who hasn't done anything. It's not possible to produce this. So I said to him, look, do you have any other scripts, or even something that is not fully developed? I'm happy to dive into development beyond the Bud Schulberg thing. I'll try to help you on that one, but I'm looking for some fiction. And he sent me this road movie that wasn't fully developed, and that I also really liked. And it was a much more contained film. So I went to New York, and we met, and we worked for many months on both the development of the script and the producing of the Bud Schulberg documentary. None of them happened.
Producing,
for different reasons. They both projects kind of crashed. I mean, the Bud Schulberg became like a short, and for which I hadn't not done anything and didn't do anything, and the other script just crashed as well. But of course, then we embarked on a life and work collaboration, 2 years later we were married and had a kid. and so we started working together, and I produced his first film, his second. I mean, I produced all his films outside from the early ones that he had done in the US. So and we've been collaborating ever since, and he of course is part of Pinball, and so and very much heads most of the development that we do, and we're writing together now. So we wrote together Listen with Ana Rocha as well, and so yeah, that's my collaboration with Aaron.
It's a big collaboration. I thought we needed to talk about that one first.
In a nutshell.
Yes, because most collaborations don't result in children. So you've got your films
right?
and your children. But you've mentioned Listen. I would love to jump into that one. I mean, it's a really fascinating film. It, sort of a smaller film maybe, but then it did really well in Venice. And, it was announced the Bohemia Media is going to release it in the UK, which is a great company. And you co-wrote it, as you said. So where did the project start? Did it start with you and Aaron? Did it start with Ana? How did it?
No, the project started with Ana. Ana had an idea. So she studied film in London. And while she was in London, she saw the case of a Portuguese couple that had gone through forced adoptions. So she presented the project to the Portuguese Film Institute, and I think you can do as a writer director in Portugal. You don't necessarily need a producer, from my understanding. So she was assigned some funds, and then you have to look for a producer. I think it works like that. So she looked for a producer in Portugal, and that became Rodrigo Areias from Bando Aparte, who is a phenomenal, amazing producer. I mean, he's produced, I don't know, more than 70 films. He produced Edgar Pere, but also he did the 3x3 film that Godard did. So really wonderful producer, and also a wonderful guy, I have to say. And so she took it to him, and he read the script that she had done, and he felt that the script needed work, and that it wasn't there, but that there was something to be done there. So a common producer, friend of both of us, Pandora da Cunha Teles, from Portugal, from Mukbar, put us in touch, and he said, look, Paula has a company. I think you guys are going to like each other, but also she and her partner, they also write. And we have done a lot of script doctoring and script editing and, script work under the hood, let's say, that is not known, but some colleagues do know that we do it. So, I think Pandora also knew I wanted to write more. And so Rodrigo got in touch, and first we got involved as writers, basically, because it wasn't clear. The film had very little money. It wasn't that it had all the money, and it wasn't clear that it was going to be able to be done as a UK-Portugal co-production. And so we got involved as writers. We shaped up the script together, and then we had a good script, and we loved working with Rodrigo. We also wanted to do more female directors and support new directors and first-time directors, and Ana was a first-time female director as well. So we thought, sure, let's give it a try. So Rodrigo proposed that we did it as a co-production. But of course, the UK was not that interested. It was, I remember talking to Ken Loach's producer, and she was like, oh, this is such a difficult subject, because Ken had done a film about forced adoptions. And she's like, it's such a difficult subject, because also, with you guys not being from here, it's going to be even harder. Like, this place doesn't like criticism from the outside. So yeah, I mean, embracing.
So yeah, you didn't get any sort of BFI.
No.
Film for the sort of usual routes in the UK. You couldn't.
No. And it was very frustrating, because we had private investment that we got. We had the Portuguese Film Institute. We did a pre-sale ourselves to a Portuguese channel. We had Portuguese distribution. So, the script really was shaped up and convincing most people that we wanted on various levels, from private to Portuguese. And also because the film was could be fully shot in the UK, and we had written, so we had kind of led development in a way, it could become a British film. And easily, and in fact it is a British film, and the production company that did it is based here, and Rodrigo became the minority co-producer almost. We became producers in equal terms in the end, but so the film can be Portuguese and British. And so yeah, and it was very frustrating because I remember going to the BFI and saying, look, this film is gonna be done. It's very small, but it's going to be done. I just need a bit more money to make a better film, and to actually pay people better, and to have a bit more leash. And the answer was there wasn't enough editorial support, which for feedback is really nothing to work with. And it was really frustrating at the time, because I thought, oh, that's a shame. We could do a better film. We could keep the post-production in the UK. We could, I knew that if I didn't have more money, the post-production was going to be gone in Portugal. I mean, gone in the hands of Rodrigo, of course. And it's a great hands, but still, we wanted to keep it here. And, but then of course, the film went on to win the 2 Lions in Venice and another 4 awards, independent awards at the time. The film is now on almost 30 awards, and it's won. It was nominated for Best European Film at the Goyas. Now, of course, it was candidate. It was the nominations were announced yesterday. We're not, so we were a candidate at one point, and it was the film that went to the Oscars for the Portuguese Academy until the language thing kind of had to backtrack it. So yeah, but so that was kind of bittersweet. They did support the launch in Venice, of course, because it is a British film. But of course, that is support that you give to the sales companies and distributors and all that, and the film is already done. But yeah, it's bittersweet.
I remember seeing when the film won all those prizes in Venice, wondering if some people wish they hadn't been involved, but it's still, the film lives as its own thing now, and you got it made, and No, I think the UK has such an insular culture in every way that I don't think it even registers at times. The other day a producer was saying, smaller films in the UK don't get the support and the distribution support and the accolade support, like all the BFI support that bigger films get. It's almost like, love the loved. And it's easy to love those that are already, big and loved. It's less risky. But I think that shift is much needed, because the UK can do so much more bold and daring thinking in those areas. I mean, it's the place that, I don't know, had people like Kubrick come out from here. So I'm kind of waiting to see that wave in a way of things that are a bit more off or sideways. And we've got Mia Bays heading the BFI Film Fund now, and she's made some statements about how she wants to do things a bit differently. So hopefully that could change. We'll see.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's very exciting to see that an actual producer is looking at that now. I have a lot of respect for Mia. I think she's very courageous to take on that job, that's for sure. She's kind of getting into an institution, and that always an institution that is so established. I mean, there are executives in the BFI who have been there for decades and have, 100 credits on the IMDb. I mean, that comes with so much power. And, you know, if you're a civil servant and you have so much power, you are skewing things. And it becomes about your editorial support, right? Like your taste is shaping what is out there.
Yeah,
And
I remember I did a panel once with somebody from the BFI and I referred to them as gatekeepers. And they really didn't like that. And I said, well, you know, of course you're a gatekeeper. Whether you're a good gatekeeper or a bad gatekeeper is the question, but you are the keeper of the funding and you decide who gets it. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that is always going to be the case when you have money at stake, big money, right? The CNC is a gatekeeping, you know, organization, and the German funds, and it's just that there seems to be more diverse entry points. Like the British line of thought seems more, you know, more steady, and it's like, maybe that's seen as a good thing for some, but I actually think we are much more diverse in many ways, and not just the way you interpret. Like the interpretation of diversity is also something to look at. You know, the interpretation of what is British and what is not is something to look at. I'm excited to see what someone like Mia does, because she knows what's going on the ground. She's somebody who left producing because it was unsustainable, and this is something she said herself. So if you come with all that knowledge, and the, you know, I think I'm looking forward to look at it. I mean, I really wish a lot of power to her, and a good shakeup, because I think she's able to do that.
And kudos for you for working in the UK, but working so internationally, because a lot of people working in Britain don't or aren't able or don't fight for that. And I think it's great that you do. Can you tell us anything, excuse me, about what you're working on now and next?
Sure. So of course, I think that the independent film model was never easy, but it's become, you know, almost a unicorn these days. It's just very utopic to be able to sustain a company on independent film alone, especially if you're not a company that's, you know, has a lot of output deals or first look deals, or, you know, 7-man run it. So we are, of course, pivoting into series. We have a project called Coverdale, based on Simon Sebag Montefiore's novel My Affair with Stalin. We took it to the Mia Market in Rome. We pitched it there. We had a special mention from the Paramount Plus Award that they give to the best pitch, or the best projects. And so we're working on that as a series that Aaron and I created and wrote. And we are working with our co-producer in Germany, Maze Pictures, Philip Kreuzer, who did some fantastic series in the last few years, and comes from the world of auteur cinema as well. So we find a good mishmash there. He produced Abel Ferrara's latest, and so he's producing the next Abel Ferrara's film as well. So we're working with him on that. We have a few documentaries that are co-producing. Some are as minority co-producers. With Austria, one documentary with one of the founders of Femen, about religion and women in religion all around the world, with the Golden Girls, a company from Arash Riahi in Austria. We have a documentary series about women in the Nova Convention. That was a conference that was done in New York City in 78, and that is a co-production with Braven Films in the US. Frida Torres Blanco. We also have Aaron's next film that we just optioned, a great book from a Finnish writer, Yoko Ikura. It's called A Gift to My Mother. That's really in early development. I mean, the book is fantastic. We're really happy that we were able to get it. So now we are getting our hands on with the writing. It's set in London. It's got immigration, and it's got, you know, crime and mystery and loads of exciting things for maybe a wider audience than we're used to. So we're very, very excited to get into that from that perspective. And there are some projects that you know, we wrote and we created and are now in the hands of producers or financiers that are trying to put it together, like the Monica Bellucci one that we did, Tina Modotti, Radical Eye. We wrote it and we created, and you know, we just gave it to our co-producers, actually the producers of the series who actually financed the series, AG Studios. So yeah, we have another project with Latin America, which is going to be my first film with Argentina. I'm very excited about, with Rey Cine, with the producers of Lucrecia Martel, who I really adore as a director, and the producers are fantastic, really great people to work with. So yeah,
you're busy with
like,
many different kinds of things. I love it.
Yeah. And then we were also trying to put together some, like a video game. I mean, there are other things that are kind of longer, blue sky in the distance, but getting more into concrete things, some more, you know, factual stuff. And, you know, we're going to be working with a new producer who's going to be doing most of the factual stuff at Pinball. So yeah, that's us.
Amazing. And I always end by asking two slightly fun questions. Maybe they're fun. When you're actually shooting, you're on a set, what is your pet peeve that people do on a set that they shouldn't?
That's interesting. I don't know. I mean, I work with crazy people doing crazy stuff. So I don't know what to say. People should, I'm going to tell you which, but one time I came to a set and somebody had put a coffee machine in it, that brought the coffee machine and decided to charge people for coffee. That was a big surprise, and I was not very happy. You know, sets should have good coffee. That people
free coffee flowing, good coffee.
Free coffee flowing. You know, this was like, as opposed to an espresso. You know, it was more. So suddenly I realized they were charging for it, and that was just something that got me really, you know, very annoyed at the catering people. So yeah, good coffee.
That's a fun one. I like
don't
that.
get bad coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you think, this could be hours of talking, but what do you think people misunderstand about what a producer really does?
Everything. Absolutely everything. There is this, first of all, there is this confusion between line producing and producing, or production management and producing. And then there is also the confusion of, you know, who gets the credit for, you know, the full idea of the film. I think there is this book, I can't remember the name again. This is where I'm getting too old for my own good. But there is a book that starts and says, there are so many things that a producer do. I can tell you the long way, or I can tell you the short way. In short, what a producer does is, do you know the Oscars? Do you know the last Oscar? Well, there is an Oscar for Best Director. There is an Oscar for Best Writing. The last Oscar, the Oscar for Best Film, that Oscar is mine.
That's a brilliant way to put it. You know, producers they need some recognition for all
the producers. Does the film, you know, it's like the whole film, the vision, putting it out there, making sure it exists out there, that it exists as a film. It's beyond the creative vision.
Well, thank you, Paula. That was amazing to hear about your career and how just how you've worked internationally. And I can't wait to see what's coming next.
Thank you so much, Wendy.